Go ahead and call this meeting of the Isanti City Council to order. If we can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Doing a roll call, we have everyone present this evening. Do we have any public comment? Hearing none, I'll move on to adopting the agenda. Do we have any modifications?
Good evening, Mayor. No, we do not.
All right.
Make a motion to adopt.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Let's see, we've got a couple of proclamations here that I'll go ahead and read. This one is to celebrate the graduating seniors from Isanti. Whereas this time of year is cause for celebration as Isanti students are presented as graduating seniors and paving the way toward improving the quality of life for young people with a graduation diploma. And whereas the class of 2024 makes our citizens proud of their commitment to responsible citizenship and support opportunities for graduating seniors in our community that include higher education, housing, employment, and recreational activities. And whereas the class of 2024 will be our future leaders, pioneers, creators, motivators, and role models. Now therefore, I, James Gordon, Mayor of the City of Isanti, do hereby congratulate all Isanti graduates of the class of 2024 for their dedication, hard work, and commitment. Definitely something to be proud of there. And we also have a proclamation for our Mayor's Employer Celebration Day. Whereas employers and employees are a dynamic part of the City of Isanti's Minnesota and Minnesota's economies, and whereas the promotion of our employers and their talented staff showcase the strength and success which is an integral part of the City of Isanti's economic development strategy, and whereas all Isanti employers located within the City of Isanti provide jobs which significantly contribute to the City of Isanti's standard of living and economic vitality, and whereas the City of Isanti has approximately 2,000 people that are employed within its corporate limits, and whereas employees contribute to the economic success of Isanti businesses by buying local and supporting other Isanti businesses, and whereas the city is sponsoring an appreciation luncheon for the employers and their employees on July 23rd, 2024, highlighting certain businesses with milestone Isanti anniversaries. Now therefore, I, James Gordon, Mayor of the City of Isanti, do hereby proclaim that the day of July 23rd, 2024 shall be observed as Mayor's Employer Celebration Day. That's always a fun one, so hopefully we'll have a good turnout again this year. I think last year we had maybe 120 people, something like that. It was a hot day too, so.
I won't be there this year. I'm stuck down at LMC that day for.
We're at 119 then.
Yeah. I'd rather be up here, I'll tell you that much.
All right, let's see. We'll move on to approving the city council meeting minutes. We have the city council minutes from May 21st, 2024, as well as the committee of the whole meeting minutes from May 21st, 2024.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Heeman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. For announcements, we've got our committee of the whole meeting Tuesday, January 18th at 5 p.m. We've got our planning commission meeting Tuesday, June 18th at 6 p.m. City council meeting is Tuesday, June 18th at 7 p.m. And Park and Recreation Board meeting will be Tuesday, June 25th at 6 p.m. Do we have any council committee reports?
I do have one. So the school board meeting was relatively unremarkable. They accepted Beaudry's diesel bid to supply diesel for the year for all the school buses with a 3-cent per gallon delivery charge. They also purchased 450 Chromebook laptops for students to use. I personally wish there was a cheaper way than having to buy all these laptops all the time, but I'm assuming that was probably around the $100,000 mark for those, but they didn't actually specify anywhere that I could see in public record. And Challenger Lifts also donated a $3,500 alignment machine to the high school for use in their auto trades class, which I think is great. I think we should keep promoting the trades, especially in this area. I think it's a pretty blue-collar community, and it's good to see that there's companies willing to provide learning equipment for our children. And that was pretty much it from the school board.
Awesome. Are they buying books and stuff too then, to go along with the Chromebooks? Or, I mean, are they primarily just buying?
Just the laptops and then the licensing and, yeah.
I like having a paper book in my hands, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's,
so a Chromebook is just a laptop, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
I don't,
But they're not actually getting them the paper books, though, is what you're saying.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I guess I never thought to ask that question.
Hey, there's always notes from the previous guy in those books.
Well,
Right.
You better hope he was a good student, though, that's the. Any-
I had an announcement. We did not have a BMX meeting, but they do have their national race this weekend. So if you're over by the Bluebird Park, it's gonna be busy.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think they're kicking things off 12:30 on Friday, I think, right? Pretty sure.
I don't remember, was there anything particular at the fire district meeting? I don't think there really was anything that,
Bought a rescue.
huh?
Bought a rescue.
Yeah, they did,
That's about it.
yeah. That was about it. There was nothing really.
$80,000 for a rescue. $80,000 for IC for the police truck. That the 2024 Chevy
Silverado.
Silverado.
You're talking about fire right now, though, aren't you?
Yeah.
Both, yeah.
Yeah,
they
they're
bought
both
a new rescue-
80,000.
Well, I saw that, yeah.
Yep.
They bought a new rescue truck, but what they're doing is they're taking one from, like Station 1, moving it to Station 2, and Station 2 is to Station 3, and then they're getting rid of older vehicles as they go, so it's like, instead of a 1979 vehicle, it's going away bye-bye, and so they're kind of, making this a fire, grass rig, and they're doing, it's wise to what they're doing.
Yeah.
So.
And I did have a public comment or a request regarding the BMX stuff. I know the Rum River Rods have a scholarship show that happened to be the same weekend as the BMX event, and they used the old, the rodeo parking,
Yep.
which now they can't. So I had a request to make sure next year that it's communicated between the fire department and the city and Rum River Rods to have that lot open, or just to communicate more, because the car show is kind of forgotten about, and that was a scholarship car show that they do every year.
Yeah, well,
I don't think they were forgot about it, just they came first to the fire department, and then the BMX came after that, and the BMX had to communicate with them, and the car show willingly gave up the space, as far as I understood.
yep, that's
Okay.
what
So,
I
yeah,
was told.
that wasn't anything to do with us up here, and
Okay,
it was just a matter of, the BMX asked if they would mind changing the weekend that they were doing. I think they're still doing it, aren't they?
no, they're not,
They just canceled it?
yeah. So that was, somebody called me and talked to me about that, so I just wanted to bring it up, just to make sure that next year that maybe it's just a miscommunication within the
Yeah, I
car
don't
club,
think-
I'm
I
not
don't-
sure,
I
but
think-
it's not happening, so I don't know if.
Yeah, I mean, the fire department, if I recall, we'd left it up to them to work out
Yeah.
amongst themselves.
Okay.
That was nothing that anybody made a
BMX was
decision on.
reaching out to the Rum River Rods, and I got an email confirmation that those two groups talked, and
Okay.
it was good to go.
Okay,
And unfortunately, the BMXs, they're buying for those qualifiers a year in advance.
Yep.
When those dates pop, they jump on it, and it's hard for them they can't shift them around.
do you know when they get the dates for that approximately? Does anybody have any idea?
The BMX?
Yeah, for the nationals, I guess I don't know how it all works.
I think they have,
Okay.
he's
Is
a,
it-
he's a BMX guy.
Is it usually around the same weekend? Or does it vary totally? Okay,
One
Well, that
thing
makes
I
it
did
hard
hear
then.
about the BMX is from other people I've talked from other states that during the BMX, they love coming up here.
Mhm.
So that BMX
For sure.
has been a huge asset to the city. And so when they do get the opportunity, they would like to have it here other than other places. Because I think this is like one of the few indoor arenas.
Yep.
The rest are all outdoors.
right, I agree.
So it's,
Oh, don't worry, you got the city to thank for that, the indoor building.
All right, any other council committee reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to business item K1, an ordinance amending Chapter 245 titled Peddlers, Solicitors, Transient Merchants, and Mobile Food Units.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So we did have a discussion at the April 16th Committee of the Whole, and also following that City Council meeting, amending the fees and actually removing the fees. And then at the May 21st Committee of the Whole meeting, we had some amendments, discussions of things we wanted to see in this Chapter 245. Staff had drafted that, and these are those revisions that was shared at that Committee of the Whole meeting. This has been posted for the required 10 days, and we believe that this does loosen the regulations for them. Still does require them to come in for a license, but there is not as much information that we are requiring.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, basically what we've accomplished since we started that whole conversation is we've, removed all the fees for food trucks, removed the background check except for on ice cream trucks, and made the license, like Josie said, real basic, and then, we stopped limiting their hours as long as they're on private property. So I think it's a good thing. Hopefully we'll have more people come to town and, serve our residents, so.
That Scoops that comes through Isani, Saturday, they were over in Lindstrom. Friday they were in Lindstrom. It was when I went and picked up my granddaughters. They had just gotten ice cream from Scoops.
Yeah,
But from what I understand, she's got 3 or 4 of those trucks.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I've
I think
seen,
they're based out of North Branch, I think, but.
but I've seen that truck hauling tail through Blaine.
Yeah, I believe it.
So I mean, I'm sure they're all painted the same. I don't know if it's the same vehicle or not, but I know they travel quite a ways. And I know she's got multiple vehicles, so. I just know you can hear that thing coming down the street and you look outside and there's 40 kids standing at the end of the door at the street, so.
Well, she comes to the west half of town, I think, on Tuesday, and then the east side of town on Wednesday. So my kids, they want to go to grandma's on Tuesday and our house on Wednesday. That's how that works.
We have gotten some phone calls, so people, I know there is some interest out there. Just so it's publicly known, this ordinance takes effect when it's published in the newspaper, and that'll be on June 13th.
Sounds good. Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Heeman and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Moving on to K2, an ordinance to consider amending Chapter 111, building construction.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This was also discussed at the May 21st, 2024 COW meeting regarding requiring as-bills for the construction of new homes, specifically for grading for residential new construction. After dealing with a number of grading issues, it has been advised by the city attorney, engineer, and multiple building officials to require as-bills for grading for new homes. It really does protect builders, homeowners, and the city if anything happens, so for negligence on anybody else's part. So it's.
I have just a couple of questions. If somebody's house burns down and have to rebuild, would this ordinance affect them? If somebody wanted to add an addition onto their house, would this affect them?
This is required for new construction homes.
I
If
see
they're
that.
changing their grading in any way, we would recommend that they do an as-built survey.
Okay, so if one of our residents' houses burned down, they would then be required to abide by this
I
ordinance?
guess it's really depends upon what the grading changes would be. If there's new grading on a property, then yes, I would say they're gonna have to follow this ordinance.
What do you guys think about that? If they had enough hardship at the time and they're gonna have to cover that out of their own pocket, so do we change the language or we keep it the same?
Well, I mean,
Technically, their house burns down.
I
it's
think
a new house.
insurance is gonna probably cover that though,
Insurance
too.
will probably
They're
cover some of the most portion of that anyway. 9 times out of 10, somebody's house burns down, it's not gonna be the exact same footprint. There's gonna be changes. They're
Right,
gonna excavate.
almost
they're gonna-
always.
So they're gonna have to do, it's only in for their best interest, because if it's graded right, they're gonna get slope away from the house. It actually protects them even from their builder.
As well as their neighbors.
But wasn't there survey language in here?
That survey, they're gonna have to survey it if they're,
That is the as-built, is the survey.
Okay.
chances are if the house burns down, they're gonna have to resurvey it. And if they're doing an addition, they're gonna have to have a resurvey anyway. Because
Correct.
even if a house burns down, how do you know that house wasn't
We'll re-
over or on a property line?
We would require a new survey regardless of this ordinance.
And that would be all part of the survey anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned at Cow, I mean, I'm I hate to put any more expense or any more burden on the builders, because that always comes back and eventually gets passed along to the person that's purchasing the house, right? But in this case, I mean, you're talking about $400 or $500, and it's, I mean, I've seen it over there in that new neighborhood where I live. I mean,
You have it in yours, don't you?
kinda, yeah, I mean.
You would've wished that it was,
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's probably is something that should be done. In other cities, I think Cambridge, we talked about, is doing it. And
A lot of, most cities of our size and growth
yeah,
level
right.
are.
I mean, you just, and it's, the problem is, you hear horror stories about, over off of, is it Cimarron over there, or, kind of South Passage and stuff, where, guys have got, water draining down into their neighbor's shed and stuff, and it's like, well, if we would have done that, been more careful at that time, we might not have had that problem. So, I don't know, I think it's probably something that, as fast as we've got homes coming into town and they're building, I think it's probably a good idea.
I really wanted this to protect the residents from contractors that might try and save a nickel. So that was my main point with this one, is that
agree.
there's too many contractors out there that wanna try and skimp on whatever they can to make more money, and this is not one of those, because water in your basement or your garage or your house, that is such a pain. So
It is.
I will, motion to approve this one, as we've changed it.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Merrill and a second from Councilman Lundin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Moving on to K3, resolution to consider approval of special event permit for Isani Firefighters Rodeo Association Annual Rodeo 2024.
Good evening again. The Isani Firefighters Rodeo Association has submitted a special event permit application to host their 48th annual rodeo. The event is scheduled to take place July 11th through 14th at the Isani Firefighter Rodeo Association Rodeo Grounds. Sorry, that's a mouthful. They're expecting around 11,000 people to attend, and they have included a parking impact plan, temporary signage plan. Additional restrooms will be added in the primary parking areas. Security will be provided by Security Specialists Incorporated. EMS services will be provided by the Isani Fire District and Alina Health. They are requesting for the following to be waived from their application: the cleanup deposit fee of $100, the temporary sign fee of $50, and the proof of written notification to property owners within 350 feet of the event. They are requesting that Unity Park baseball field lights stay on all Friday and Saturday night of the rodeo performances for safety and security, preferably sunset to sunrise. Police Chief Travis Myers has given approval of the event with the following conditions. There must be an emergency vehicle egress to within 150 feet of all buildings with a minimum width of 20 feet and a minimum height of 13 feet 6 inches. 2 parking spots available directly next to the west and east entrances for police and a line of vehicles. Security shall utilize electronic ID verification system, and security shall provide adequate services to curtail and address disorderly persons. They will also respond to verify individual credentials. And then they have given permission for Illuminate Isani banners again this year to be displayed at the rodeo.
I will, for one, will say for 40 years, that thing has been a great success and a big and huge asset to the city. I know in the past, we've waived those rights anyway, all those fees. I motion to approve it.
I'll second.
I really don't need these young guys to come up here and talk, because I think for 40 years, we've heard the same spiel on it. And, many years ago, I worked on that rodeo. I actually worked on the rodeo grounds when it was, actually, we're right behind, well, where the bus station is.
Isani Tire behind there.
Yeah, right behind there, and moved out over to there.
Was that when you built the bleachers every year and then tore them
Yep.
down and brought the
Yep.
lumber back?
Yep, P&M Truss supplied the bleacher planks.
True story.
And this is no kidding, and they'd come up with their trucks, we'd have to be out there that night, and we would put bleacher planks on from the minute anybody showed up to the mosquitoes were carrying us out of there, come back the next night, finish up what we could, nail them, screw them in, and then as soon as the rodeo was over, sweep them off, hose them off, load them back on the truck, and they were somebody's trusses. So we've done that, did that for many, many years. So I was a big part of it back then, and I'm a huge supporter of it today, so.
I thought we had it rough. Did you guys want to come up and say anything, or?
Well, the rodeo's July 11th and, or 12th and 13th, Friday and Saturday. The gates open at 4. We're hoping for a great turnout, as in years past. And I think most of that was the same as last year. So,
Yeah, thanks for putting on a rodeo every year.
That is Eric, the parking chair, and he's probably the greatest asset to this city because he parks all those cars and gets them off the street.
And I did that for many years. I wasn't the chair of it, but I had to park flipping cars.
Yep.
And I mean, everybody took their turns of parking them, and it wasn't, you know,
I think Paul has the most fun out there parking cars. He's having a hoot. He has a hoot out there when he's doing that. It's hilarious. Did we get a second on that?
I don't think we had a second yet. I've got
Yeah.
a,
Got a second?
oh, did I? Okay.
Councilman Heem.
All right, you guys caught me making a mistake. It's 7:21 on 6/4, you put that down in the history books. All right, well, I had a motion from Councilman Merrill, Councilman Lundin, and a second from Councilman Heeman to approve the special event permit for the rodeo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Moving on to K4, resolution to consider approval of a special event permit for the North 65 Chamber of Commerce Jubilee Days 2024.
Good evening again. You're probably going to get sick of me here. But the North 65 Chamber of Commerce has submitted a special event application for their annual Jubilee Days event. And a parade is scheduled to take place in the afternoon on Thursday, July 11th, and Kids Day is scheduled for July 13th. From 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. An estimated of 10,000 people will be in attendance for the parade and 3,000 for Kids Day. Portable restrooms are required for the event, and a list of restroom locations has been provided. Parking during the event will be restricted as follows: no parking along the parade route and lineup area on July 11th, or on Main Street from 2nd Avenue to west of railroad tracks and 1st Avenue north of Main to City Hall parking lot entrance. Isani City Hall parking lot and Isani Community Center parking lot from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the 13th for Kids Day. Assistance and equipment has been requested from the city for road closures, traffic control, utility locates, and signage. The applicant has also asked for a fee waiver on the temporary sign application of $50 and of the rental of the Isani Community Center. The applicant has met with city staff prior to submitting the application to review materials from prior years and continue to coordinate with us. As always, Melissa has everything in here and is very well prepared and organized, and we thank her for putting this on.
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you to Melissa and the North 65. They always do a great job with this, and you can tell everything is always in the packet too, so that's great. So I think it's one of my favorite parts of summer is this parade. So I'll motion to approve.
second.
Melissa, do you want to say anything about what you got going on, or no?
I, for one, will say that this parade has been one of the most sought-after parades in the state of Minnesota. It's always held in high esteem from other communities and other groups. I mean, it's unseen that you see bands that come from out of state to march in this thing, and other people that come from out of state to be part of this thing. And it's just, you know, personally myself, I try to leave town. I don't like fighting the traffic. It's not me that likes to sit in a parade, but I have been a huge supporter of this parade for many years. It's a great asset to the city.
Well, not only the parade, but I mean, the whole Jubilee Days that you
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
put on. I mean, the outhouse races and the Kids Day, and I mean, it's
Absolutely.
the slide at the, well, do we do that, or do they, yeah, well, I guess we do that, but I mean, you guys do a ton of stuff around the city that whole weekend, so.
I like being able to hear all the kids from my house. They're like a 2 blocks away, and I can hear them having fun on Main Street, and I think it's just a good time.
Yeah, it's a blast.
Yep.
So, yeah, thank you for everything you guys do with that, so.
I don't know if you heard, but I seconded it.
I did, yep, I got that one. So I have a motion from Councilman Merrill and a second from Councilman Lundin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. We have K5 coming up next year, the resolution to consider approving a special event permit for the Cambridge Isani Soccer Club.
Before you, this is a special event permit for the Cambridge Isani Soccer Club to host a one-day event on June 22nd from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It says soccer tournament and anyone can come and watch, but only players and players' families will be playing. An estimated 300 to 700 people will be in attendance, and they will utilize the soccer complex parking lots. They'll be using the portable restrooms that are already on site, and the soccer club will be responsible for cleanup. There will be no live entertainment or public addressing system or sound amplification. There will be vendors on site, and a list has been submitted with the application.
Do you know, is the soccer club required to have insurance as a, I guess as a, they are, okay, and they just didn't have it in here as proof? Just because we've had it in the past, or?
We should always have it on file, because
Okay.
we require it year-round,
Okay.
not just for events. So I actually took her application and said it was not required to
Okay.
include with that, because we have it on file.
Sounds good, I just wanted to make sure.
For some of you that don't know, that this soccer complex is second to only one other complex in the state of Minnesota.
Blaine.
Blaine. And I never would have believed that in my entire life. But if you ever been by there when they have a soccer tournaments going on out there, that place is packed. So I think they've done a great job. I don't think we've ever had any problems from anything out there at the soccer club. So with that, I'm gonna motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Holmgren. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Moving on to K6, the resolution to consider approving a conditional use permit for Norse Rentals LLC.
This is, an application has been submitted by Norse Rentals LLC for a conditional use permit for properties with PID 16.130.0030 and 16.130.0040 for commercial recreation in the I-1 Industrial District. The building is located in Suite C and D on 101 Isani Parkway Northeast, and will be used for teaching martial arts and fitness jiu-jitsu. The applicant is here if you'd like to speak with them again, but this was presented at the most recent Planning Commission meeting and recommended for approval.
Unless he wants to come up here, I'll motion to approve. I think we've already hashed all that out.
I'll second.
You guys want to say anything at all, or? You bet, yeah, no, that wasn't what I was asking for, but.
But that works too.
But that works, yeah. I think you guys are gonna do real well over there. I'm excited for you, so. I had a motion from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill.
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Moving on to K7, the microphone discussion.
Good evening, Mayor and Council again. This was brought up at discussion, and it was requested to get more information. I had provided the length of the cabling in an email earlier, but the cost to have 5 microphones, that's for a later item that she's passing out, 5 microphones with a lapel wired, not wireless, to keep the cost down would be $2,480. That would just be doing the council members, not doing the additional members of Park Board, EDA, or Planning Commission. If we want to do all 7 seats at the dais, that would be $2,986.
And those were with the 5-foot length?
Yep, and this is with the 5-foot length. If we wanted an additional 10-foot length, that would be an additional cost, which I didn't have that quoted. I do think that the 5-foot would be plenty.
That's 5 foot from the plug under the table here?
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I'm the one that asked to kind of bring this up again, but,
I hate these microphones, been saying it since day one.
I mean, if you guys sit like this and, people can hear you, and if we can save $2,400, but, I mean, the whole goal with trying to do Facebook Live and that kind of thing was we want more transparency, right? So how do you, if people can't hear what we're talking about, which has been the big complaint, I mean, you could even tell the difference from me talking now compared to when I had it right here, I mean, I don't know.
It's a huge difference, yes.
Yeah.
I've never liked these microphones, and I know there's always comments or messages that I get about, why couldn't you hear what this person was saying? So I think the lanyards would basically eliminate that. It's on you, so you don't have to be like here. You can't hear anything versus here,
Yeah,
you can
right.
hear everything.
Right.
And I think these other microphones we could probably sell. I was meaning to look up how much we could sell them for. I know they won't take them on trade, but you could always sell them on
I
Marketplace
think
or something.
Josie must have something to say on that.
Sorry, I was going to add, he did say that we could go out on eBay, but from his experience, for the time and effort that you'd put into to create a city account on eBay and to put them on there, that he didn't know what we would actually get, if it'd be worth the staff time to do so. But he said that is always an option.
But by looking at the cost between the difference between a 5 and 7, at $500, I'd just do the 7.
Yeah.
I would,
Yeah.
then we have it, it's all bases are covered.
You think we should do it, or, 'cause, I mean, people are always complaining that they can't hear.
Always complaining.
You know what? In the 14 years I've been on the city council, these things have been, this whole system has been janky. And it was the last time we went and did it, it was supposed to solve the problem. It is way
Well,
better
and
than
and
it
that time-
originally was.
That time we spent like 60 grand, I think.
Yeah,
But that
and-
was to add the screens and all that,
Yep,
and that
but
was,
but it's way better than it originally was. So for $3 grand investment, it's, I don't think we can go wrong with that. I mean, I'm the electronic guy, that I'm not a big electronics guy, but these iPads, 6 months they're outdated. Computers, 6 months they're outdated. Any electronics, all this stuff gets outdated in such a short period of time.
Audio stuff actually doesn't change very much, which is
Not
a
much,
good
but
thing,
there's
right?
tweaks and hopefully that maybe these maybe have it built in so that we can upgrade it at some other point somehow or different. So I personally, I think that we go with that 7 and just be done with it. Trust me, it's been many years we've been fighting with this audio system in here.
yeah.
It was one of my main goals when I first got on council, because people have been asking to make sure that they can hear everything that's said in meetings. I mean, if you have that many people ask, it's pretty obvious it's wanted.
Yeah.
And at $3,000, that's about, what, 34 cents a resident? If you break it down on that, that way, I mean, granted, everybody doesn't listen to the meetings, but it's there.
What kind of guarantee do we have that these new microphones will be better and work better for the system that we have than the ones that we're using right now? If by chance we get them to get all hooked up and they're really not as effective as, or just as effective as these are, do they have a
Unfortunately,
return
I'm not
policy?
able to give a guarantee on that. I do think that when we asked for options before on microphones, they did have a module or capsule, I believe they called it, that we could replace the end part that would make it more directional instead of more direct, that you need to speak into them. He did not tell us that they would be better than what we have. They're just a clip-on version. So I don't know.
What's like
Now,
on
maybe
this
if they
one?
clip on next to your,
Right.
the closeness obviously would help, but I can't say that it's better than speaking directly into the mic. I wouldn't be able to say that.
Don't they
And
have,
these heads are not replaceable now. So we couldn't just change out the heads with a directional like you had just said, or?
That was a quote before, but that was it was expensive.
Oh,
I remember that was last year.
Okay.
That was,
Was that the 7,000 one maybe, or?
and
It was-
I didn't
it
have
was a
much
lot.
faith at the time that it would actually make much difference.
You still have to speak
Right.
relatively close. You still wouldn't be able to sit back 4 feet.
I mean, we could buy one and then see how it works,
Then
and,
that quote's gonna go out the door.
Yeah, it's gonna be more expensive because he's got I think you said he's got a hardwire and splice into the main unit back there.
yeah, I guess that's true.
So that's a
yeah,
one,
you're not
you're
just
gonna
paying
pay
for
that
the-
twice.
Yeah, you're not just paying for the material, you're not just plugging it right in, right? You gotta do labor on,
Right, we do have the one, well, actually two, we leave one up front. Those are just 2 clip-on microphones that we make available if we're doing a presentation. We can clip those on to 2 people and see how it works. Those are wireless, but we wouldn't have to pay anything. I would imagine, not guaranteeing though, that they'd be very similar to what we would get.
Because if I have it clipped on my right side and I'm talking to the left, is it gonna be the same effect as?
We could try that
turning my
tonight.
weight-
We
my
can
head away
clip
from the
you.
mic?
We could clip it on tonight, if you wanted to try it.
I think we should try it, and then we could decide. But, I mean, we're not gonna be able to tell until somebody goes back and watches the Facebook Live, right, and sees if it actually made a difference,
Well, you
but,
should be able to hear it even in the speaker.
Clip one on right
Yeah.
now? Yeah?
sure. You know, but now we're all sitting here talking like this in the microphone too, because we're thinking about it, right? So,
I was just wondering, don't they have like test models they can send out and let you
Demos.
try it for a month? Because on the fire department, before we buy a $5,000 or $10,000 thermal imager, they send us out a free demo to try to make sure we like it.
Same thing with most power equipment for
But
public works.
George, you'd be better off, no matter what you use, to clip it in the front. instead of on the sides. Every one of us are gonna
Councilmember
be wearing
Holmgren,
a
he
shirt
did
up
not
here, so you gotta
offer
wear
that.
the
I
hood.
did not ask so either. So I could ask.
I think your point, though, you'd have to still do
George,
the
make sure you shut this
installation.
one off.
You have to pull the wire,
Yeah,
and because
right.
we don't
Shut
have
this
enough room
one
in the
off.
rack
It is.
Oh, it's
to
a-
add
okay.
it, we'd have to remove the old one.
So I guess the question for you is that microphone, I mean, so these microphones, are they set up actually with the video system? So that's not gonna be, so that's just gonna pick up, but, you know what I'm saying? Is that gonna not?
No, it still is through Wi-Fi.
We
It
have,
goes to the
It is
same
through
router, yeah.
we do have control of the lapels. They do go through. They're just a
Okay.
wireless version.
Gotcha,
If we
okay.
were to buy those wireless ones, which were almost double the cost, we could have that as option. Still goes through the whole AV rack.
Sure, okay.
I don't like wireless personally, more technical issues.
This
More
one doesn't
interference.
seem to be picking up that well at all compared to my other mic.
I can hear you,
mean,
I can hear you just fine through there.
Yeah, but it's 1/3 of volume.
Is there any settings on that you gotta play around with at all, or
No.
it just is on?
Do
Okay.
you guys have gain control over there? Okay.
Well, I can hear that for sure. Okay, well, let's go ahead and try that for the rest of the night, and we'll kind of see what happens. So,
So you want to,
you guys wanna table that
Yeah.
until?
I would see if we can, if the company will send us a free demo or something,
Okay.
one that we,
well, we can see how this works for now.
Yeah.
so.
Sure.
I'd motion we table this and see what we can go from there.
I'll
It's
second.
not something we need to do today anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you need a motion to table it for now and bring it back to the next meeting, or I guess we
could
don't,
ask for a motion to postpone it to the June 18th meeting.
Motion to postpone to the June 18th meeting.
okay. I have a motion from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Moving on to K8, the Isani Area Joint Operating Fire District Facility Lease.
So this item I added, I did not remove it. However, before we get into it, I do want to share that this has not been reviewed by Chief Jankovich. And because I was waiting to get a review from our city attorney, which I hadn't also received by today. So the reason why I kept it on the agenda was to get a review from council. If you did determine that you wanted to pass it, if you agreed with the terms outlined, and I'll go through each resolution, theoretically, we could pass it tonight, and if Chief Jankovich does review it and he agrees, they could sign theirs and we would move forward, and they could get in as early as tomorrow. If we did theoretically approve it this evening and he wanted to see revisions made, it would come back to the June 18th meeting, so I just want to let you know that. The first resolution is an amendment for the Isani Fire Hall lease agreement between the City of Isani and the Fire District. This is an old agreement that we had that was originally dated from 2005. It was best to amend that current one that we had that outlined the terms of what they do and what PD does. And I just revised the language to have what we do. So, or to take out what we do and to make it solely responsible on the fire district. So going through, section 2 is amended by deleting the current language and replacing it with the following. The fire district shall have exclusive use of the facility. So it was differentiating between fire district gets these areas, PD gets these areas. The next section was deleting the current language and replacing it with, the fire district shall have sole responsibility for all gas expenses used within the facility. So they will be paying for their own usage. The next section, current language was deleted and replaced with, the fire district shall be solely responsible for all electrical expenses within the facility. The next section was deleted, current language, and replaced with, the fire district shall solely be responsible to cover costs related to cleaning the facility. Because again, previously it was outlined that PD did some, they do their own. The next section, I'm on number 5, deleted the current language and replaced it with, the city will provide premises liability insurance coverage through the League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust, and the fire district shall reimburse the city 100% of the premium costs attributable to such coverage. So that's just making sure we're made whole. They would still be required to get whatever insurance they currently hold for their other needs. The next section would be current language replaced with, the city, its employees, and its agents shall have the right to enter the premises at reasonable times in respect to the property and inspect the water meter. That was much more of a robust section, making sure we had access to everything. Really, we don't need access to all their stuff anymore. It's just to make sure we can get to city property. And then lastly, These amendments are incorporated in and are made part of the Isani Fire Hall lease agreement effective as the date of this written. So if we agree with that. Resolution K8A just approves this. This would be attached as an Exhibit A.
So the city of Isani would still pay the water and sewer on that property, correct?
So the resolution states in the third whereas, the city has determined it's in the best interest of the city to waive the water and sewer usage costs,
And what was the vote on that? Do you remember what the vote was on that?
that we would waive it, that
Okay.
they would not be required to pay.
Was that a 3-2 or a 4-1? I remember I voted against that, I think.
We can pull that up here.
I just don't, I don't know, I feel kind of bad about us waiving that fee when residents still have to pay it.
Well, I think when we talked about it, it's basically the same end result as what we're currently doing right now.
Yes.
And I don't remember all the details on it, but that was the gist of the discussion. By the time we thought it all through and we figured out, well, we're already basically doing that.
So we do that currently on their side. So the water that they're using, if they're filling up their trucks, it's metered, but it's not charged.
Right.
So the difference would be is if in the kitchen area, the bathroom, that usage would be metered, but would not be billed to them. 4-to-1. It was a 4-to-1.
So, okay, so the personal consumption use would not be billed, but the, like, filling of trucks, is that still billed?
Nope.
No? Okay, I guess I still have a problem with that.
Which is not billed now.
I know it's not billed now, but that was a previous council's decision, and I don't think it was a very good one. I don't
Well,
think-
if they go to fill a truck from a hydrant, they're not getting charged for that water.
Oh,
And getting that water, it's either if they're close to the station, they're gonna pull that water out of the station versus a hydrant that could be 400 feet further away. So that's the reason
Okay.
for that. That fill that's in in there is just to fill the trucks.
Well, I think there is also a washing machine. I'm not sure where that gets metered in, but that might be one other item.
But by the time we end up paying the city's portion of that, it's, all of a sudden, that's went from this to this is what they're gonna collect from it. And it is a public safety issue.
Sure, right.
And I do think we had the cost, because we do have all departments pay their share of water, sewer, and I believe it was $2,200 a year when we looked at a full year of when PD was in there.
I just think, I mean, it looks bad, we get a lot of whack and sack and water, why is the water so expensive questions, and, I mean, I love the fire department, I think they do a great job, but at the same time, we have to answer to the people that voted us in.
But then we still end up paying for it anyway. We're paying 48% of that.
All right,
So,
yeah, no, that's fine, I just wanted to clarify that wasn't in here, for sure, so.
I know that this was pretty much all agreed on in the fire district meeting when we discussed this there.
Yes.
So I make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Heeman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
That motion carries 4-1. Moving on to the consent agenda, I
Wait,
bet you.
Sorry,
Oh,
Mayor,
sorry.
and Council, I have one more on that. So it'd be the
Oh, sorry.
K8B.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
I put this
Okay.
in a separate resolution because after they do take ownership, after the lease is completed, the lease to purchase is completed, there was some discussion made, and this is putting those discussion in a resolution to continue services of mowing and plowing. So that's a separate resolution. It's approving services to the Isani Area Joint Operating Fire District Station 1. That the city shall provide lawn mowing services during the lease, during the time that the fire district leases a facility from the city, and continue to provide it when the fire district takes ownership of the facility. So it's now and then into the future, and then the same with snow plowing, now and then into the future, even upon ownership. That's a separate resolution.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Now, moving on to the consent agenda, I bet you Luke wants to say thank you for a couple things.
I sure
but
do.
I'm gonna take one of them. So thanks to to DW Companies. Guess, what is this? That was just a little bit of a slip there, yeah. DW Companies, as we appreciate them donating the items that we need for the Splish Splash Summer Bash, which primarily, I think, is the bumpers for the water slide that we do on the sledding hill, right?
And a sandbox.
It's all
On
of
the
it.
sandbox. Yeah,
It's-
it's all, everything, huh? Yeah.
DW Companies does great work for our community at at the city levels, the county level, all of it. So, yeah, definitely thank them for that, and thank you to Minco for donating the water and the popcorn for the Splish Splash Summer Bash as well. I think it's great. I had one question on L6. Travis, what was I noticed it's over budget already on the one, like $9,000 or $10,000. What was the upcharge on that, or why is it over?
Well, the easiest answer to that is 4 years ago, the price of the vehicle was $20,000 less
Okay,
for state bid.
okay,
This year, we couldn't even state bid Fords, and we're lucky we got one. We think the other one's still coming, but we don't even know. But that's the biggest thing, is that the 20,000, even though last year's 10,000, right? From last year's state bid price for a squad to this year's is $10,000 more just on the squad. The rest of the items are pretty much the same price as they were last year.
okay.
But it's the actual state bid price for squads is 10 grand over last year's purchase price.
That sucks.
Yeah.
And as far as like the hardware and stuff to outfit it, I mean, you can't, you're planning on kind of keeping those vehicles and pass, same thing like the fire department is
and
doing,
then,
where you're kind
and
of, it's
then
not
some
something you
of
can pull
them, like
off
the
of.
one that we recycled, I mean, that had the old VHF, well, the radio that we can't use.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So, yeah, and
There's nothing that
some
can be
point-
salvaged?
at some point, if there is, we will, right?
Okay.
It's just that, that one we got rid of, there was nothing salvageable
Yeah,
in that one.
yeah. How about the next one? I mean, because you already ordered the second one, right? I mean,
Obviously, we don't have an old vehicle that there's none that we're gonna be able to salvage from. And
Right.
As we go forward,
well, I just meant, like, when do you expect it to actually get here?
yeah.
Ordered in January 1st or something like that?
We were surprised that one showed up, and where's the, who knows?
Well, that was just like the fire department when they ordered those Rangers. It
Yep.
took 2.5 years. Those
Yep.
Tahoes took 4.
Yeah,
Just a little thing on vehicles and fleet stuff. So we ordered that one from last year. We ordered it in August of 23? Or, sorry, 22. We ordered August of 22. It arrived September of 23, and we're still waiting on parts for it to actually outfit it.
yeah, that's
Just-
unbelievable.
Put that time frame together.
Yeah. Crazy.
Well, good luck.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Any other discussion items? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion to adjourn from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Holmgren. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. We are adjourned, and then we'll move into our EDA meeting shortly.